Here we can see a perfect graph that shows us the glands where the hormones are produced and the targets of those hormones, the target organs, in this case the ovaries and the same glands. In the hypothalamus, which is a gland that controls the physiological necessities of our body, when women reach or females reaches the teenage or the puberty, the hypothalamus start to release a hormone called gonadotropin. That hormone, gonadotropin, acts like a stimulus for the pituitary gland. That pituitary gland, once has received that gonadotropin, releases the follicle stimulating hormone, which is the FSH. And the FSH goes through the bloodstream direct to the ovary. And in the ovary is where the follicles are formed. Inside each follicle, a mature egg is produced. Only one. So this hormone can produce many follicles, therefore can produce many eggs. But in order to control the production of eggs, the body has a system which we can say is a negative feedback system. Why? Because once the follicle is formed, the same follicle acts as a gland starting to produce estrogen. And the estrogen produces or has two targets. The first one, as I said before, it builds up the endometrium, starts to build up the endometrium, so it goes to the lining of the uterus. And the second target is to go to the pituitary gland to block the production of the FSH. So, if the FSH makes that the estrogen is produced and the estrogen goes and blocks the FSH, that means that is a negative feedback. So it's like an output that was controlled by the same outcome of that output, of that stimulus. We can summarize that by rewriting it. So, the first step was the production of the follicle. We have here menstrual cycle. And we have that the hypothalamus releases the gonadotropin, and that gonadotropin goes to the pituitary gland, and that stimulates the pituitary gland to produce FSH, which again is a follicle stimulating hormone. That hormone travels through the bloodstream and reaches the ovaries, where follicles contain mature eggs. So this is the first stage. Again, FSH, ovaries, and follicles. Once the follicles are formed, as I said, and this is the second step, they start to produce estrogen. And the estrogen has two targets. The first one, the lining of the uterus, and what makes is to help to build up the endometrium. Build up endometrium. The second target of the estrogen is the pituitary gland. And here, the estrogen blocks the production of FSH. So no more follicles are produced, that is, to assure that only one egg is produced in average. There are cases that eggs are producing 3, maybe more. Actually, this hormone is the one that the in vitro used by the technique of in vitro fertilization, making that the females produces many more eggs. So the estrogen blocks the production of FSH and build up the endometrium. We can see that better here. So look that when the FSH rises a little bit, the estrogen starts to rise, and as an outcome, the endometrium is built up. So we are in this phase. Next phase is sorry. It's this one. Once the follicle have produced estrogen, these high levels of estrogen, I used the wrong one. Higher levels of estrogen makes that the pituitary gland produces the luteinizing hormone. This luteinizing hormone, as I said before, releases the egg, or helps to release the egg. So